Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today I'll be doing my first review for TokuStation, which will be the first 5 episodes of Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger, or Dinosaur Sentai Zyuranger, or Dinosaur Squad / Squadron Zyuranger, or maybe you're feeling a little frisky and quote-unquote correct, and you want to call them Zyurangers, because technically it is the correct pronunciation, but I will never. It's Zyurangers until I die. Anyway, so, I want to say a few things. First of all, if you guys are listening to this, or rather watching this on our Teacher Productions YouTube channel, remember that you could get the audio version of this podcast over at our Patreon, patreon.com/TGProductions, along with the audio version of the entirety of the news portion of TokuStation. This is the first one I'm doing. Next week will be episodes 6 to 10 of Zyuranger, so we'll keep that going for as long as I can. Also want to mention as well that when it comes to this podcast, I'm not doing it as a comparison to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. If you guys want that, please comment down below, tell me that you want it, or if you really want it badly and you're going, no, you will make this video, Matt. Again, that's another tier over at our Patreon as well. I am recovering from vertigo, so it won't really matter much on microphone, hopefully, but you know, if I start to sound dizzy, then that'll probably be why. So thank you all so much for watching all of our TokuStation stuff already, and hopefully you're listening / watching this as well, and you like it. If you hear any weird audio in the background, my neighbors are playing Hispanic music. My Hispanic behind really wants to jam to the beat, but I can't because I'm here talking to you guys about the first 5 episodes of Zyuranger. Still won't say Zyuranger. Anyway, when it comes to Zyuranger, this is a show that I hadn't seen. A while ago, I'd seen the first 12 episodes. For some reason, I did not get up to Budai. Don't know why. Just never got the chance to. So this is a show that I've never finished, but I know at least the first 2 episodes like the back of my hand every time I try to rewatch the show, and I don't know why I never get through it. There's nothing wrong with Zyuranger. There's nothing wrong with these 5 episodes. In fact, now that I'm really paying close attention, there's a lot of continuity that I think Sentai doesn't do that often, even with its first few episodes. Now, you know, I shouldn't say that often, but there are definitely a fair amount of Sentai that after the first episode, of course, you know, there's recurring villains and things like that, and, you know, and there are, you know, recurring arcs that do come up later on during the shows, but I have to say that I want to give these 5 episodes credit for being able to really make it feel like I'm watching the Zyurangers grow in terms of, you know, getting their weapons, getting their mecha. You know, it's nice that they don't immediately have that right off the bat, compared to some newer Sentai shows. Although I would like to mention, though, one thing that I think they potentially, and this might occur later on, this might happen later on during the show, but as of right now with these first 5 episodes, something that I feel like they've dropped the ball on is the fact that you would think that showing these 5 characters who are, you know, yes, they've been sleeping, but arguably thousands of years old, you would think that it would show them kind of acting kind of awkwardly with everything around them. And that kind of fish out of water story would be very interesting to me, but sadly we didn't get that. At least we haven't gotten it yet. And even though I do enjoy this arc of them trying to get all their weapons and trying to establish themselves in the modern day, it was just very strange to immediately go from the first episode to the second episode, and we have Dan just reading no, it wasn't manga, but it was definitely some type of yeah, if it wasn't manga, it was still some magazine, and it was like, look, even putting aside the fact that he knows Japanese, I don't mind, it's okay. I'm not gonna go that deep into it, like, how does he even know the language? Let's just put that aside for a second, let's not go too deep. But even just him being like, ha, this is not witchcraft. Like, frankly, he should have been looking at that magazine like, this is the work of Bandora. I do not want to deal with whatever this is. And you'd have to have, like, Barza, that was his name. The Sage Barza. For some reason, I can't get his name down. And I think that might be because even though, you know, I like him, but it does seem like he In the first episode, I thought, okay, he doesn't have magic, so he can't actually fight Bandora or any of her minions. That actually makes sense, and frankly, that's something that I'm a huge fan of, only because with many Sentai, and even Power Rangers as well, you have situations where it's like, wait a minute. Like, yes, eventually you might have a situation where the mentor does step in and become a Ranger or a Sentai member, but you also do kind of sit back for a bit and you're like, wait a minute. You're the head honcho here. You could seemingly have similar powers like this. Unless, of course, it's like a big one situation where, if I remember correctly, that's like new tech they had to create for him. But when it comes to, SPD or Decker Ranger, it's like, wait a minute, doggy. Wait a minute, doggy. What's going on here? Why didn't you have access to this? Granted, I haven't seen SPD in a while, so perhaps that was also tech that I can't, or same thing with Deca. But still, my thought is like, but if they're cops and they have these powers, you're like the chief. Chifu, why do you not have these powers, Chief? So in that, that's my reasoning there. Or with other, other mentors as well, where it's like, wait a minute. And in a bunch of other series, I don't want to spoil anything else for other series, but still, it's that, that mentality of why did you not step in? Thankfully, they cleared it up very easily with Barza, where it's like, oh, no, this guy, no magic whatsoever. Bandora got that taken away, or rather took that away from him. So that's fine there. But it still feels like his character, he's not that much of a mentor. Now, I don't, thus far. Now, I don't need to have kind of like a, Master Kaku or something like that, or other types of mentors that really kind of dig into, helping these characters out with their powers, because to be fair, the Zyurangers, they know what's up. They've had these powers for a while. Yes, they've been asleep, but they knew what the deal was. They undertook the mission of going into this deep sleep until they were needed to fight Bandora again. They know what's going on. And I think that's also something else that's very interesting and kind of different from other Sentai. And in a way, I like it. Now, yes, you still want to see that character progression and that growth. And that's why they do have a character like Dan being very much like kind of this playboy, immature. You do need to have some characters to have some kind of growth, like with Goshi. I like him a lot, I really do, but at the same time, he does seem like he needs to kind of slow, like, he's supposed to be the strong man, and he might need to, like, step back every once in a while and actually kind of, make battle strategies like Geki does, or some of the other Sentai members. So, granted, it does seem like Dan is a bit more hot-headed, but still, Goshi doesn't seem like, to me anyway, at this point, to be the tactician of the group. So when it comes to these Sentai members, yes, there's still growth here. It's not like Zyurangers are never going to grow, but I do like that they, did something a little bit different, and they started them off kind of knowing what the deal is. Because many Sentai, they kind of just randomly throw, 5 people together, or sometimes even 3, and they kind of just throw them together, and they're just like, oh, what's it called? We're just throwing these 5 guys together, or, gals, or whoever else. But yeah, again, sometimes 3. And it's like, they don't know what the heck's going on. No idea. Don't know what's going on. Crazy stuff. Right? And it's kind of like, it's nice to have one season of Super Sentai, and not only one, this isn't the only one, but in this case, to have this one season of Super Sentai, how all 5 of them go, yeah, no, we're part of this tribe. Why? Is that weird? Right? Is it weird that we're part of this tribe? Because we've known this since we were kids. We grew up with all of our, family members slain by Bandora. That's our thing. That's kind of why we're trying to go up against Bandora. Which it makes sense, even though I would like some more backstory on that. And they of course will do that a little bit later on, I'm sure. But at the same time, it's okay. Like, I'm happy with a slow burn, right? Now, obviously, if I was watching this on a weekly basis, maybe I'd be a little ticked. Granted, not like, it wouldn't be the worst thing, but it would be me sitting there like, ooh, I know that it would be done in a year, but still, I'd hope that, they would go into depth with this or that or this or that. But because I have it on DVD, speaking of, I should have mentioned this earlier, I do have this on DVD from Shout Factory. If you guys want to help support the channel, you can go to the affiliate links down below in the description box, and you can actually buy the set through Amazon if you don't have it already. If you do have it, okay, You don't have to buy it again. If you want to buy it through other means, you totally can too. I'm just trying to, get us to support Super Sentai legally in the U.S. So that's my thing. You can help support the channel too, but it would also be nice if you just buy it legally in general. Anyway, so now that I can marathon these with these DVDs, I'm fine, right? I'm fine if it's a slow burn. They're also 19 minutes as well, so taking out the openings and endings, that's about, let's say, I'm going to say it's almost 3 minutes shaven off, so that's about 16, maybe 17 minutes. I'm okay with a slow burn, especially when it's not, 24 minutes like later or even earlier Super Sentai as well. Let me see here. So, yeah, Barza, I would like him to take more of a mentorship role, but again, it's just a bit hard to because he doesn't have to teach these 5 guys and gals what the deal is. So, it's kind of this weird trade-off where it's like, okay, so we can't give him powers because then it's like, well, why is he not fighting Bandora? And because this is a tribe that isn't being found in the modern day, these aren't descendants, these are them, we can't make it so that he's, how much advice can he really give? And granted, he has here and there. I'm not saying he's said nothing to the Rangers. Heck, he's the one that woke them up, right? But still, at the same time, I do wish that maybe throughout the series, I assume with Budai coming in, and they're going to be like, Barza, who in the fuck? And then Bars is like, let me tell you who in the fuck. And you'll be like, okay, this makes sense. But still, as of right now, I am kind of sitting back, and I do want Barza to play a little bit more of a role in kind of mentoring them in any kind of way. The team did have their standard, just like every Sentai will, that one episode of, oh no, we're not doing well together. Is the team over? But it was so brief that I was kind of okay with it, because when it happens in other shows, I'm not saying, especially when it's a ragtag random bunch of people, it kind of makes sense that they might not work well together. They just freaking met like a few days prior or a week or so prior. In this case, though, it would have been really silly, I think, at this point, if it had lasted more than literally 3 minutes, or just hot-headed Dan feeling like, I got boy stuck in a tree, which I love that that's a thing. I love that I can say that when reviewing a Super Sentai. One member got the other one stuck in a tree, and when you guys are like, oh, if some of you guys haven't seen Zyuranger for some reason, and you're listening to this, you think, oh, did he get stuck like in on top of the tree in a branch? No, he is inside the tree. His soul is inside the tree, and they were going to cut those trees down, and he, along with a bunch of kids, would have died. Jesus H. Christ. Also would like to mention as well, how do you transition? Where do I go from that? I would like to mention, it is interesting to see how, speaking of some differences, comparing, Super Sentai to Mighty Morphin, briefly, it's interesting to see how, let me see, I want to make sure I get his name right, because I know it's based off of Griffin. I just want to make sure I get it right. Grifforze. It's Grifforze. No, it's not. Come on, I can find his name. Right, Grifforzar. With Grifforzar, it's interesting how he really does not speak. At least at this point, he's barely had any lines, if any at all. I'm pretty sure he's just growled every once in a while. And he flew around with Bandora as if it was Wizard of Oz, which I should also mention, by the way. The special effects here, despite some of the stuff with the story, the whole fish out of water thing that I think they haven't really delved into that I would rather they do. Other than that, the idea that, the special effects are really freaking cool. And I know, some of you guys, especially some of you that either you're into newer Toku or maybe you're not into Toku in general, and maybe you saw this review and you were like, let me watch those episodes. And you saw them and you thought, it's just older, special effects. They didn't have the budget. We have to remember that they had to build model sets. That's not easy. I can't do that. Maybe you can. If you can, that's awesome. But I can't do that. I don't have the money to buy models and shit like that. That's expensive, to be fair. Yes, cheap CG. I don't know how much cheap CG is, especially, really, really cheap. It's really inexpensive. But models, to have to put that all together and then blow it up, and you can't sit there and be like, we didn't get the take. You're blowing up a model set and you want to save money. You got one shot, maybe two. Depending on what side, depending on what parts of it you blew up. So having this transition between the sets, between Bandora flying around in front of the green screen, having her, Bandra's palace. Still very interesting that they went for Bandra, but I guess illegally, her name is Bandora, because you would think that Shout Factory would get the ability to go, so it's Bandra, right? Because Bandra is literally on the name of the palace. No, it's Bandora. Also, I love how Bandora's palace, I love how it looks like a casino. Just a random aside. The inside of it does not in any way look like a casino. It looks like a clock shop. Kamen Rider, crossover? No. But the outside of it looks like it kind of looks like a place that the Bozoku would chill and would kind of hang out. So it's really funny that it looks like an intergalactic casino in space. On the moon, on planet Nemesis, which is not the moon. Was it Planet Nemesis or Planet X? I'm pretty sure it was Nemesis, which made me laugh because, the name Nemesis, what was it? I'm pretty sure it's been used in Godzilla before in the past. But yeah, I don't think it was Planet. Was it Planet Nemesis or X? Now I'm forgetting. This is terrible. This is why I should keep notes, but it's the most random thing to keep a note on. What planet did she come from? Let's see a few things here as well that I want to mention. Oh, the riddles were strange. I just feel like it's a weird jumble between riddles that I don't know if it's a translation thing, because of course it's very hard to translate jokes and riddles and things like that into English with stuff like puns and just general jokes based on, I should just say puns, different stylings of words, all that stuff. It's really rough to try to do and to try to work that out. So I can't really blame Shout Factory or the translator for that. But some of the puns or some of the riddles were weird to me. Like, not even like, oh, I clearly couldn't get that, haha. I was just like, wait. Darn it, you really had to try hard to make that one work in English. Because obviously we're going over 5 episodes. I should mention the names of the episodes, even though I assume people listening or watching this should know the first 5. But either way, I should remind everyone in the off chance. Let's see the names right here. Also, my God, this aired. I wasn't even 1 yet when this originally aired in Japan. Hot damn. Anyway, The Birth, The Revival, Fight in the Land of Despair, Reawaken Legendary Weapons, and Scary Riddles. Kawaii! But anyway, so with Reawaken Legendary Weapons, that's one that I really enjoyed. The two-parter thing, actually, in general, is something that I enjoyed, but I felt odd because it felt as if they wanted to... I don't know. It's not like it's not like they couldn't make them two-parters. I'm not against two-parters at all. It was just strange because it felt as if they, I don't know, like, especially having Dan just reading that magazine. Yes, it was, there was a scene where they reminded, to show that Dan is, playful and young and dumb, and to show, the Zyurangers chastising him and everything and trying to remind not just him, but also the kids who may have missed the first week, like, hey, remember, we're supposed to be saving those damned kids, in the shuttle. But I have to say, I don't know, it's just strange to me. Maybe it's just me, but when it came to the two-parters, the way there was a weird, with every second part, there was a very strange way that they kind of set it all up, where it felt like there was, I'm not going to say filler, because filler isn't the right word, but there was some kind of padding of some sort. I don't know, it just felt as if some of the two-parter stuff could have actually, in my opinion, been settled in one part in some way or another. I'm not saying the kids could have been saved necessarily, but I don't know, it just felt like, especially with the first episode, like, it was just like, we're retreating, and it was like, oh, okay, or like, magic is happening, and then that just kind of screwed everything over. I loved some of the effects. Speaking of special effects, speaking of the stuff that clearly isn't, model work, but it's still amazing. Bandora coming out of the television in the sky. I like how because they decided, hey, magic is going to be the theme this season, clearly D&D inspired, really. Magic going to be the theme. They thought, you know what, let's just go batshit crazy with some of the stuff that Bandora can do because she has magic. Why would she not do weird shit like that? Wouldn't you if you had magic? Don't lie to us. You're saying no, but you're thinking yes. You would be a television in the sky with your hand sticking out in the sky, like on a beach. You would do that. Don't lie. Don't lie to any of us. You can be honest here. It's okay. So when it came to her magic, it was very interesting, and I like how they're going in kind of very strange directions with it, where, it's obviously the stuff about the mirage and the desert, and, we're going in circles. That stuff that's been done for years now, but the idea that, and maybe it is something that has also been done for years as well, but still, I think it's fun to have it here as well. Instead of it just being straightforward magic like we can do spells, it's just the idea of just balls to the wall crazy. Like, you have Dan going, I can't believe we're going in circles, kicks a rock, and then finds an invisible wall. And it's like, oh, damn. Right? It was a little convenient that every wall that broke down, though, in that episode, every single wall that broke down was a wall that got them to what they needed. Like, I don't have the exact writer for that episode on hand, but I am curious to know if that's just their general demeanor. Like, yes, you break down a wall and you find what you need. I wonder, they're probably huge fans of Zelda, right? Just put bombs in front of walls, kids, and you will find what you need. You will find hidden paths. So when it came to them breaking down walls, because remember, guys, they broke down one wall. Hey, we're out of the illusion. You break down another wall. Hey, look, that's so-and-so's bomb. Break down another wall. Hey, look, the legendary weapons. Consistently breaking down walls. Also, the little kid, I can't believe I forgot his name. Hiroshi, I'm pretty sure. Hiroshi, he is a Pikachu because literally they took, or actually no, Pokemon, mate. Yeah, Pokemon took that plot. So that has to be something that's been done for years now, and I just didn't know as a child. The idea of, oh no, you've been turned to stone, but my tears from my Kokoro will save you. Which is a beautiful thing, by the way. Like, it always gets me. It always gets to me. But it's still like, oh damn, that actually worked. It's interesting, though, because another thing, too, I think that they may have alluded to this, but I might have not noticed, like, it being direct, but I think that the woman and child live in the same apartment complex that Barza both works in and I guess guards. Is he like Hawkeye? Where, that if you guys read Hawkeye, how many years ago was that run? I think it was the Matt Fraction run, where it's like Barza, just like, the world, okay, but I guard this one place. With my non-magic. But yeah, so when it came to putting Barza aside again, as the show seems to do, oh damn, I do want to mention as well, what was it here? I want to mention that I love the monster suit designs, and when it comes to the grunts, in the case of, I forgot what they're, actually, I think they're putty putty in the, in the Japanese, in Zyuranger. Obviously in the US they were putties, but the point is, I like that they don't seem to just be that one de facto putty design. It does seem like, and I'm talking about, like, not like with the Z, of course, that came later. I'm talking about, like, the original design. I'm pretty sure, and maybe I'm super wrong here, because it has been a while since I've seen Mighty Morphin, but I'm pretty sure they tried to replicate the one putty design even before the Z on it for Lord Zed. They tried to keep that design and just keep them the consistent villains, but it felt very interesting here that they do show not only different putty designs but different villains altogether. Like with Dora Skeleton, they actually had these weird skeletons running around, which I know, silly, yes, very low budget, yes, but I still was a huge fan of that kind of, diversity in these goons, because it doesn't have to just be the same types over and over and over. I get it, you're going to get 5 people, 10 people in the same costume, replicate it, save some money. I totally get it, right? No way, like, I'm fine with Tokusatsu saving money. But at the same time, it was really cool to see those kind of skeleton monsters deal with the Zyurangers with Dora Skeleton. Also, just him just kind of coming back together and everything like that, and then getting his head thrown down to hell. Really fun stuff. Fun, quote unquote. Really fun stuff. I enjoyed, like I've been saying about the slow burn, I really enjoyed the fact that we have, the Tyrannosaurus fighting against many different monsters thus far, and we don't necessarily have it just, again, we don't have to have the immediate, the 5 mech combine into one giant mech. It doesn't have to be that way just yet. It does seem like that's going to be happening in episode 6 from the teaser for it, but we don't have to have that just yet. One thing I find hilarious, and I know that general, not even just a Toku thing, just even for anime as well, the next episode previews will be spoiler-tastic, but I love how spoiler-tastic some of these are. Like, if you guys look at some of these and really just look at the footage, don't even listen to the announcer, just look at the footage, you will literally see the entire episode, if not the point of the episode that matters, just playing out in front of you. Like, let's look at one right here. Let me make sure I get the name of the episode right. It was, of course, Reawaken Legendary Weapons. It's like, you have the narrator, will they get their legendary weapons? As they're getting legendary weapons. And I'm like, this is fucking great. I love it so much. Just, will they get them? Answer. The answer may not surprise you. Yes, they will. It's literally right here. And I get it sometimes. It's meant to assure the kids, like, kids, don't worry, your heroes will not die. No one's dying, don't worry. Other than that one episode of Super was like, yo, Goku's totally dead. And I was like, what? But other than that, usually it's kind of reassure you, just like with the ending songs, like, hey, kids, it's okay. Everything's fine. But it's still kind of funny how it's like, but not the ending songs, I don't think they take away tension. Again, I'm okay, or, you know, in a bad way. I understand if they're meant to take away tension so that everyone can kind of calm down and cool down after some crazy shit. I mean, I remember I was like Astro Boy, the Mighty Atom, when he, one of his, I forgot which episode it was. My brain says 52, but I'm probably wrong. 53, 51, I don't know. One of them. It was some sad shit where, like, a kid died. I think it was like an actual kid in a character in the show who was a real boy. He died, and, like, it was some crazy shit, or there was like a bomb. It was some really hectic stuff, and it was some sad stuff. I think the narrator was like, Astro could do nothing. And then it just went to that really happy ending, cheerful Astro Boy theme, and it was just like, okay. But when it comes to this show, like, I'm fine with that, right? I have no problem with that. I actually like the opening and ending. They're catchy. The ending, I think, it's not that it can get on your nerves, but I think it's just a bit, for some reason, yes, the Jumbo, and some other stuff as well is catchy, but I think there's something about singing the Zyuranger theme. I don't know what it is. I think it might be the orchestra more than it is the actual lyrics itself. Nothing against the lyrics. It's just something, I don't know, something about the instrumentals that I'm just like, ooh, yeah, Zyuranger, right? And I'm just like really rocking out. I'm like, yeah, Kyoryu Sentai. But I don't know what, because I'm singing the lyrics, but it's not necessarily the lyrics that are doing it for me. I don't know what it is exactly. But anyway, let's see here as well, some other things I might want to talk about. Oh, I think we should all mention the fact that they have motorcycles. I'm cool with people hanging out with dinosaurs back in the day. That's just the Flintstones. I'm fine with that. But they have motorcycles that, I want to see who Barza went to kind of, and slipped them some cash and was like, yo, you got to make me these. My friend's going to wake up God knows how many years. We kind of need motorcycles. And I wonder, like, what was that person's reaction? Like, look, man, whatever, dude. Just is your ear okay? What's going on with your ear? Is everything good there? So yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. Also, some foreshadowing. I think I know why, even though I haven't seen this far, I think I know why Bandora doesn't like kids. No spoilers in the comment section down below, but I think I know why Bandora does not like kids, and I like that there's foreshadowing there. You know, the one thing that I want to say about this show that I really enjoy, something that I notice a lot with Super Sentai, just in general, this is just me gushing over Sentai in general, it really does seem like even with some changes that will happen eventually mid-season and, you know, adding in some characters or removing some characters or something like that, yes, changes can happen, totally, you know, no doubt about it. But I really do like that, at least with Bandora, it seems like they're trying to set this up with some foreshadowing, some good old foreshadowing. And there really is a plan. And that's what I think I really enjoy about this show, is that it really does feel like there's a plan here. You know, things aren't, like, there isn't some, you know, it's not going to shift. I mean, maybe the reason would shift mid-season if they needed to, but there is going to be a reason, there is going to be, and not every single, you know, Super Sentai Kamen Rider delivers on those promises, but, you know, it's just nice that I pretty sure I know that they're going to deliver on this promise. So I'm sitting here like, oh, that's actually really cool. They're alluding to that, and they're actually going to, like, it's not just evil villain is evil just because. And that's the one thing I really do enjoy about Super Sentai, and also certain seasons of Power Rangers as well. They really do want to delve into what the hell's going on with the villain, not just, well, the villain's evil. Why wouldn't they be? And it's like, because that's just not how things work. Like, like hate is taught. You know what I mean? Like hate, you're not born with hate. Hate is a taught thing. So why do you hate? And I'm sure we'll get that way later down in the show itself. Also, I want to mention that these episodes, I mentioned that they aired before I was born. Well, not before I was born, before I was like 1 year old. The first 5 episodes aired February 21st, 28th, March 6th, March 13th, and March 27th. What happened on March 20th? What happened? Well, actually, what did happen? Is there a Japanese, is there a holiday that I don't know about in March? Probably. So probably some kind of festival. Either way, we no Sentai that week. I'm sure all of us noticed, back in the day. Anyway, I should probably mention some more things about the characters before we wrap this up. Because I mentioned Geki, I mentioned Goshi, I mentioned Dan and Boy, but May, I like May. I think I would like to see some more from May instead of just, high-pitched, I'm here for Geki. Unless they pull that trigger, in which case, hell yeah, Geki X May. Yeah, get together, my ship. But, everyone's ship, I guess, when you were 5. But still, I say that and a bunch of 25-year-old, 35-year-olds, 45-year-olds going to be like, hey, it's my ship now. But still, when it comes to May, I want to see some more from her. I want to see, because it's not like she hasn't, it's interesting because it's not like she's a damsel in distress, at least as of yet, and that's nice. It seems as if she is one of the team. Yes, there was that one little moment where it was like, oh, please take Hiroshi's mom to a safe place. But then she immediately was like, but don't worry, guys, I'm back in the fray. And then jumps in immediately, and I'm sure it was just a filming error when it came to, the way they shot it. But I love how she jumped right into the fray to take the shot from the Minotaur. And it's just like, why did I not just stay with Hiroshi's mom for 5 more seconds before I got blasted? So yeah, I do want to see some more from May. Something about the weapons, though, that I kind of alluded to but didn't mention outright. I love how they had random ass weapons starting off. Same thing with, the mechs, right? We didn't have mechs. We had random ass weapons, and they broke because these are Dora monsters that are legit ready to murder you, and you're not using legendary weapons. You're using swords that are so many thousands of years old. So it's like, maybe you get those legendary freaking weapons. And so it was really nice that they showed that evolution as well. Like, oh, well, we're training here, and apparently these weapons are freaking useless. We gotta get something, right? We gotta get something here to try to help us out. And then, of course, they went on their quest. I like the quests. I really do, because I think, I'll say this much. From what I've seen, for Super Sentai, like, okay, for coming in as an outsider, right? Coming in as someone who, this was not my first Super Sentai by any means, but I think coming into this show as an outsider, i.e. from Merca, who my first Sentais were Shinkenger, Go'onger, and Geki Ranger. And my first Kamen Rider was Decade. Oh boy! But still, coming in from that perspective, because I think as a Sentai season, as of right now, only these 5 episodes. So of course, I'm judging very early, only on these 5. But still, compared to all the other Sentai, maybe it would seem like it doesn't really stick out too much. Maybe it would seem like it's typical Sentai fare for this X, Y, or Z. But I think coming in as an outsider, yes, of course, if you try to compare it to Mighty Morphin, the thing that started everything, yeah, you might end up, your passion for Mighty Morphin might swell up, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, it's the best thing compared to the Zyuranger. But let's, as an outsider, but also removing Mighty Morphin from the equation, because again, don't want this to be a comparison podcast. Looking at Zyuranger, it's interesting how different it is. in a way, because again, if you're someone who grew up with Sentai in Japan, I think maybe eventually a bunch of Super Sentai will just start to bleed together for you. But me looking at this, knowing that they've done, okay, so dinosaurs, yes, of course they've done Aba Ranger and they've done Kyoryuger. Yes, they totally have. That I admit. Yes, dinosaurs aren't new to Super Sentai after Zyuranger. But at the same time, though, with dinosaurs here, the dinosaurs, while they do matter, of course, that's the whole plot, but the D&D aspect, the magic aspect, the kind of like RPG-ish elements, that's something that hasn't really been done in Super Sentai, and I would argue hasn't been done in Super Sentai since, although to be fair, I haven't seen Super Sentai in a while, so maybe some of you might be like, no, Matt, you really should watch like Zyuranger or something like that, because I haven't seen much Sentai. I'm still stuck in Kyoryuger, so, and I'm not stuck, it's not a bad thing, I haven't been able to finish Kyoryuger. So when it comes to Zyuranger, it does feel very different in that regard. Now, yeah, the idea that they're legendary warriors who actually, because because thinking about Sentai, right, up until that point, because we also have to put ourselves in the moment too. Think about Sentai up until that point. We had, military operations. We had aliens. We had military operations. We had aliens. We had, we had, because Zyuranger didn't even happen yet, so they weren't even, it wasn't even like, oh, you're part of this legendary tribe of people who, of people who were, had these powers. Not even that yet. We're not there. Thinking about the Sentai we've had some weird stuff, but most of it had been military based, or like, oh, you're getting this special power in your, in your morpher, if you want to call it that, in your, changing, transformation device. I don't know why I don't want to use the word henshin. Your henshin device. So when it comes to this show, the fact that the power is technically within them, yes, of course, they do need the bucklers, arguably, but the bucklers are based on magic and cool shit like that. I do think that that's actually a big difference, in my opinion, compared to saying, hey, this is a power of, this is a power made by the Japanese government. It's like, wait a minute, does that mean if people don't pay their taxes, we lose our powers? Yes, please pay your taxes. So Jack can continue operating. Battle Fever cannot operate without all of the countries coming together to pay taxes to actually, goddamn, that's his beauty. If there's no NATO, there's no Battle Fever J. I don't know why. What the fuck? But anyway, seriously though, when it comes to Zyuranger, in some ways, it does feel like it's typical Super Sentai. But I do think we have to look at it and kind of take a step back. And when we do, we realize that it actually is very unique, I would argue. Yes, when it comes to how they fight, it's kind of that part, when it comes to actually their fighting styles, that to me seems very much like a Super Sentai thing. Like, it just seems like not generic, I shouldn't say the word generic, but it seems like, the standard flips and the standard chops and, stuff like that. Once they use their weapons, things get very different, but it's not like they're like, the Ginga Man or something like that, or they're, Geki Ranger, which are trying to do different, kung fu techniques and things like that, or, Zyuranger trying to do those different techniques and stuff like that. It is, hey, because how do you fight as a dinosaur? Let's be real here, right? Like, you would have to have Boy chomping down on people. It's like, I don't think we want to see him ripping a dude's head off on, during prime time. So when it comes to the way they fight, I would argue that's standard. But the themes, the dinosaurs, it's funny. At the time, not that it was revolutionary, but we do have to picture a time before Jurassic Park was as big as it was. And before dinosaurs were as played out. Tristan Walter somewhere, fellow podcaster, let's player, is ripping his hair out at the words dinosaurs being played out. But I do think that dinosaurs have gotten vampired, or vampires got dinosaured. Technically dinosaurs first, I guess. In terms of, getting overexposure. That's really what I'm looking for here, overexposure. So instead of thinking like, oh yeah, there's so many dinosaur Sentai, let's all remember this was the first. But anyway, I think that we can wrap this one up. I think we're done talking about these 5 episodes of Zyuranger. Either way, though, we're going to be doing another one of these after our daily news clips / full podcast for TokuStation. Remember, you can get that one also at our Patreon, patreon.com/TG Productions. And you can also go to our TeePublic account, our TeePublic link down below to get some of our t-shirts and also some other t-shirts that we have as well through our teacherproduction.net/merchandise account. We're trying to move, or our page, we're trying to move them over to our TeePublic account, but it's a little difficult. It's a little bit, un poquito. Either way, though, thank you so much for watching this or listening to this. Whichever way you're getting this, I'm so happy that you are. Thank you guys so much. Remember that you can actually go to our Those Guys Play channel to get all of our gaming content, video game let's plays, reviews, other kinds of gaming content, showing off gaming stuff from around the world, really fun stuff like that. You can go get that over at Those Guys Play, or you can go over to Those Guys on the Radio, and over there you can get all of our podcasts. Those you can actually get for free over at our Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/Those Guys on the Radio. You can get them for free there, or you can watch the video versions over at Those Guys on the Radio. And also remember that we have Keikaku Corner, another daily show that we do, daily podcast, myself and Tristan Walter, where we talk about different anime, manga, and comic book, also video game news as well. And you can get those full audio podcasts again, Patreon, you know, that whole thing. All right, guys, so thank you all so much. Tune in next time for actual news, and then we'll be talking about episodes 6 to 10. All right, guys, so take care. See you next time. See ya.